A short disclaimer: all the information regarding historical references or inspiration are based on things that I think that make sense that I found on the internet and were neither confirmed or denied by the developers of Age of Empires 4. The French are feared in AoE4 for its tough knights and substantial trade advantages. The presence of strong cavalry French units in the game makes total sense. The word cavalry itself comes from the French word cavalerie, derived from cheval, that means horse. By the way, I'm gonna say a lot of French words in this video, so I apologize for my terrible pronunciation. I'm really sorry. I believe that the royal knights in the game make reference to the French gendarme. A gendarme was a heavy cavalryman of noble birth that served the French army from the late Middle Ages to the early modern period. They enjoyed a stellar reputation and were regarded as the finest European cavalry force. They were armored lancers that dominated the late medieval battlefields. Another unique French unit is the arbalétrier, a type of crossbow mercenary. These units have the ability to deploy pavis, which grants them 5 ranged armor until they move. A pavis is a long shield big enough to cover the entire body and was used between 14th and the 16th centuries. The earliest known designs of the crossbow date back to around the 5th century BCE in ancient China. In my video about the Chinese civilization, I talk about the tuknu and their small crossbows, which were created mainly for personal protection. Crossbows then spread throughout Asia and eventually Europe, where they were adopted and improved by the Romans and later Europeans. Now, the arbalétrier in the game refers to the Genoese crossbowmen. When these crossbowmen had to reload their crossbows, they would hide behind these pavis. The galleass is a military ship mounted with a bombard. The real galleass was actually a hybrid between a sailing ship and the galley, equipped with both sails and oars. They were built to combine galley speed with the artillery of a galleon. They were higher, larger, and slower than the regular light galleys, but they still had an impressive maneuverability. In the game, the regular galley has a speed of 1.38 tiles per second, while the galleass has only 1 tile per second, but that makes sense since they were indeed in real life slower. Ships specialized in bombarding land structures were called bomb vessels and were equipped with a mortar. The first bomb vessels were built towards the end of the 17th century and were called galiote à bombe. I know I'm not saying this right, but that's the best I can do. And they were used by the French Navy. Cannons are unique to French and they replace the bombard. The cannons have 50 less HP, however they can move faster. They also have 90 attack bonus more than the bombard against buildings. Cannons also don't need to be set up, just aim and shoot. These cannons are based on the Perrier à Boite. I have no idea how to say that properly. Although both English and French used cannons around the 14th century, the English trailed behind French developments in the area, and they only had a few of those cannons before 1400. The Perrier allowed extremely fast loading and firing, but on the downside, it leaked quite easily, leading to a loss of power and safety issues. I think would be for sure very funny if these cannons would spontaneously combust and explode randomly in the game. Now let's go through the landmarks. To advance to the feudal age, you can build the Chamber of Commerce. This landmark acts as a market, and as of the Season 4 update, it grants you a free trader for each economic technology researched. Before the update, it used to grant bonus resources to the traders. The concept of market halls as we know them today didn't actually exist until the 14th century. Before that, markets were typically held open air, and the first covered marketplaces were built during the 14th century. The most similar market hall that I could find is the Halles Centrales, located in Revel. This market is one of the biggest in France, however, it was built only in the 19th century, so the dates don't make so much sense there. If you're aware of any other market hall in France, France that could be a better fitting in this case, please let me know in the comments. The other landmark that you can build to go to the feudal age is the School of Cavalry. This landmark acts as a stable and causes all stables to produce units 25% faster. This landmark was most likely inspired by the Château de Coucy, a castle complex mentioned as early as the 9th century as a colossal feudal fortress, and it was one of the most important feudal bases of French kings in the 10th century. Furthermore, this castle has insanely large stables that could house up to 300 horses. As one of the most important castles in France, known by its strategic importance and powerful cavalry, I think this is a good fit. Now to go to the castle age, you can build the Guild Hall. This landmark can generate resources over time, and the more you have stored, the more you generate. And you can even choose the kind of resource you want to produce. Guilds were important organizations that controlled several different kinds of trades and crafts. But most importantly, guild halls didn't have to be imposing structures. It just had to be anywhere. Just a place for guild members to meet and to trade. Because of that, I think that this artistical representation of a guild hall might not be based on any historical or existing building. The other landmark that allows you to go to the castle age is the Royal Institute. The Royal Institute houses all the technologies that are unique to the French. The research is 25% cheaper and it ignores any kind of age requirements. I believe that this landmark combines different architectural elements that together represent the transition from a more Gothic style with its square-shaped tower into the more symmetrical Renaissance style. The cloister and overall shape also could be a reference to a fragment of a medieval monastery, where at the time priests could advance in science and theology studies. These later originated the first universities. That's why universities were male only. They grew out of schools training priests, and only men could be priests. But anyway, since this landmark is focused on research, I believe that this appearance is meant to resemble the first higher education institutes with transitional architecture preceding the university, something that you get only in the Imperial Age. To go to the Imperial Age, you can build the College of Artillery. It provides access to royal variants of gunpowder siege units that, with the Season 4 update, deal 30% more damage than the regular versions. It can research gunpowder and siege technologies, and it unlocks the artillery shot ability on all cannons. France is well known for its castles and forts built during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance periods. I have looked through many castles and chateaus, but I wasn't able to find anything that fits this structure. I would guess that this facility combines elements of different castles and storage rooms from the period. And finally, the Red Palace. Now this one is a very curious thing. I wasn't able to find anything like Chateau Rouge or anything like that. But anyway, the Red Palace acts as a keep with high damage arbalists, and each garrison unit grants an additional arbalist. But yeah, as I mentioned, I wasn't able to find anything related to the name. However, I find it very similar to the Chateau of Flagrac, but this one is a mystery too. There's almost no information about it. The only thing I could find is that it was built around the 11th century and was expanded until the 19th century. I think that this imponent structure was enough to be the inspiration behind this strong landmark. With the latest update in the game, this landmark also activates an arbalist weapon on all keeps and town centers. And finally, the Wonder. This one is pretty obvious. The French Wonder was inspired by the Notre Dame. The construction of this cathedral began in 1163 and was completed by 1260, though it was modified frequently in the centuries that followed. Around 13 million people visit the place every single year, making it the most visited monument in Paris. Yeah, it's located in Paris. I think you know that. That's all I have on this civilization. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed, please like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to help me reach the 1000 subscribers, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!